This is KTVO's Good Morning Heartland.
Welcome back. Spring has sprung, and as we take that opportunity to clean out our homes, it's also important that we clean up our household finances. David Bethel is here this morning to discuss techniques in financial spring cleaning. How are you doing today?
Very well.
Well, so Missouri State Treasurer Clint Zweifel sent a list of topics on how to kind of just clean up your finances. So I thought it would be a good time to talk about it. And the first thing that he mentions is to eliminate unnecessary expenses. Now, what would you suggest?
Well, in science, there's the law of inertia. And one of the laws is that a body in motion tends to stay in motion until acted upon by an outside force. So let this spring be the chance to change directions in your financial life. I think that you should look through all of the things that you pay money for items that you no longer really get any benefit from. Magazine subscriptions that you used to read but you don't anymore. Memberships to organizations or gyms that you really aren't participating in. Maybe you subscribe to a premium cable channel but you're not really watching those anymore. Those are the kind of things to eliminate. In addition, I would challenge everyone to go back through those bills and look for the consumer debt part of that, the things that you're paying interest on, that might be a car payment, maybe furniture or clothing that you bought on a credit card and you haven't paid the whole bill off. See, what does that interest add up to every month? Because those were decisions that you made to buy something when you didn't have the money to pay cash for it instead of saving it up. And so if that is hundreds of dollars a month of interest, that's thousands of dollars a year. And I think knowing that number can cause people to change directions.
Yeah, especially when, like what you just mentioned, when it comes to like clothing items. Like I know there's a lot of department store credit cards out there, and so you're thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to spend $100 and I'll pay it off. But then in the long run, you don't, and then that $30 shirt ends up costing you $50, $60, $70, $80 in interest.
That's exactly right.
So that's a good tip. All right, so we know that tax season is over, but can we prepare for next year? And if so, how does that help us save money and clean up our finances?
Well, you can, and I think that going to your Schedule A, the itemized deduction, is a good place to start. Whether you do taxes yourself or whether you use software or you use a professional, there's a place where you're adding up your itemized deductions. And the question is, do they add up to more than the standard deduction or less than the standard deduction? If they come out about the same, that really presents an opportunity. Can you change when you're paying for those things so that you have more in one year and less in another? The best place to look for are charitable contributions or medical expenses, although of course we're talking about elective medical expenses. In addition, retirees should look to manage their withdrawals from their IRAs and their Roth IRAs because doing so can really save a lot in taxes.
Okay, now what about automatic payments? Like I know that there's people that set up automatic payments for, credit card or anything like that, bills. But what about like savings and stuff? Do you recommend that?
I certainly do. I often ask my clients, how does money get into their savings account? And a typical answer is that when payday rolls around, if there's still money left in their checking account, they put part of it over in their savings account. Well, it takes a lot of discipline to every payday put money in your savings account. But if you can set up a way automatically to have a little bit of money withdrawn from your checking account and put into your savings account right after payday, then it doesn't take nearly as much discipline. The system helps build the discipline. And you can also do that for retirement accounts through payroll deduction to your 401k or 403b.
Okay. Now what about our insurance coverage? I know that some people might be overinsured and might be paying even more than they need to. So how can we check on that and make sure that we are paying the right amount that we should be paying for the coverage we want?
Well, I don't know of anybody who really enjoys making insurance premium payments, but almost everybody needs insurance. It's simply a strategy for a large group of people to pool some of their resources to protect everybody in the pool from catastrophic loss. Well, when I Googled how much insurance do I need, you can imagine how many responses there were on my car, on my house, on my life. I think going to a place like that, getting some independent evaluation on how much you need is a good strategy. I had a client a few years ago who had $100 deductible collision coverage on a 20-year-old car that wouldn't have been worth repairing had it been damaged. Those are the kinds of things you're looking for, that you're paying more for than you really need.
Right, and you can minimize and actually save money that way if you do double check and make sure you have what you need.
That's exactly right.
Now let's talk about consolidating your accounts. I know that a lot of people might have 3 or 4 different savings accounts or checking accounts. Do you recommend having just one for each or multiple ones?
I do recommend only one.
Okay.
At this time, it's very typical for banks to require a minimum balance or they'll charge you a fee. Well, the more accounts you have, the more likely you are to incur fees. So I think one checking account, one savings account. I do recommend everybody have one big ticket investment. Now, it's a little harder with retirement accounts. If you've changed jobs, and many people have had more than one job in their life, it's very easy to have an IRA from an old workplace, a 401k from your current workplace, and a Roth IRA, and you probably wouldn't benefit by consolidating those.
All right. So, and also one of the tips that Missouri State Treasurer Zeifel recommends is contacting and talking over with a financial expert. When do you recommend somebody doing that?
Yeah. Well, when I was a lot younger, I drove old cars that weren't made as well as they are today. And when they wouldn't start or didn't run very well, I would work on them myself, sometimes even successfully.
Right.
I would never do that today. You need to know what your strengths are, but you need to know what your limitations are, and then get help in those areas of limitation. I really do believe that people who want to do everything themselves often waste or lose more money trying to do things themselves than they would pay a professional to help them do those things.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much. What we'll do is we'll post everything on our website at heartlineconnection.com. We'll also link up your information as well if any of our viewers have any questions. Thanks again, David, for coming on.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.